DSV is a leading global transport and logistics provider that has enjoyed major growth since its establishment in 1976 to the current position as the third largest global logistics business. DSV Solutions is the warehousing division and is well represented in South Africa. In 2014, the company made the decision to move from dedicated warehousing to shared multi-client facilities to unlock supply chain cost synergy for the mutual benefit of DSV and its supply chain partners. Raceway was founded in Johannesburg in 2015 with 40,000 square meters and 3 initial clients. Through an ongoing process of change management, DSV partnered with its internal and external stakeholders to educate and upskill them on the benefits of collaborating to identify and manage cost out of its shared supply chain, and then reinvest the savings for mutual benefit. This has resulted in a culture of cost consciousness and ownership, underpinned by stringent measurements of costs and the ongoing development and sharing of dynamic resources. This is their story.
DSV was founded in 1976 by a group of crackers in Denmark, in Europe, and grew successfully over the years through organic growth and acquisition to currently being number 3 in the world overall. So fantastic growth, and that's through doing things the right way, sustainable way. We cover all the different logistics arenas, from air and sea right through to the warehousing side and distribution side. We do have some specialist divisions as well in the healthcare and the banking environment. South Africa, very well represented in Southern Africa. And historically, we've had a lot of different warehouses. The typical old model around clients having a dedicated site with their system, their bespoke staff, that's the historical model, but actually lent itself to a lot of extra cost and a lot more rigidity around cost synergy. So our vision that we come up with in South Africa about 7 years ago was to look at going multi-client, really growing the multi-client space. So moving away from these dedicated sites with all these dedicated resources and high overhead costs to a multi-client site where we could really unlock client synergies or cost synergies. So the first one we looked at, the first real move in that direction in South Africa was our Raceway site in Gosforth Park, Johannesburg. Was pretty much a greenfield site. We found it when the developer was just starting. He was building it on spec, and we were able to customize it to our requirements. That was now going on 7 years ago, and there's been a lot of water under the bridge since then, and I'm going to take you on that journey today and tell you a little bit about the challenges that we faced and how we overcame those for the benefit of our business and all our stakeholders, our clients. So, as I mentioned, in the past, you had your dedicated sites per client. This was a common scenario in the industry, not so common anymore, but the idea behind that was that you achieved maximum product integrity and management control and productivity if you had a dedicated standalone site. Unfortunately, that drove higher fixed costs and it really limited the cost-saving opportunities. So we realized that the future was in these multi-client sites. You could lower your overall cost base through sharing of all those fixed overheads and costs. You having shared staff where you multi-skill them so they can work across different accounts. And we made quite a significant decision at that point, a landmark decision for us, to build our first big flagship multi-client site. We hope to attract new clients with this and consolidate existing clients at lowest cost for all. So the Raceway site in Gosforth Park was established and went live at the end of 2014. We started with 3 clients, which was a challenge in itself to have such a beautiful big facility with only a few clients. And we grew it over the years to 32 clients. As of 2019, we had 28. So from 3 to 32, it's quite a big growth, and that's brought with it certain challenges as well and opportunities. So currently the site, we have 160 people on site, multi-skilled, mostly permanent. The old industry standard of using a very strong broker staff model, we've moved away from that because it just adds another layer of cost, and it waters down the brand identity. We want our people to feel part of our team, part of our family, where they have that buy-in, they're in it for the long term, we can really develop them, train them, and so the more permanent model from a resource point of view supports that a lot more. This also leads to very high stock integrity across the board, and stock integrity obviously underpins any supply chain, any warehousing business. If your stock integrity is not solid, you won't go anywhere. There won't be any sustainability. So it's all around having everything on the latest warehouse management system for very tight control. And in this particular raceway site, we've got quite a lot of diversity, which is another very important factor, is diversifying across different industries, so that if there's a particular challenge in any one industry, you don't have your eggs in one basket, as it were. And this has actually helped us weather the COVID storm quite well, this diversity across different industries and client bases. So at Raceway, we've got a specialized material stores, we've got flammable stores, we've got general has stores, we've got a customs bond store, and of course the general ambient storage as well. The facility is temperature monitored, and it meets most of the latest compliance requirements, because compliance in our business is also really important. It's become a lot more onerous in the last few years. Different accreditations, what we've also done is if one particular client in the multi-client environment needed a particular accreditation or certification, we applied it across the entire site, which meant we raised the bar for all the clients from what they were receiving, the value for money proposition. So that's been quite a strong driver in achieving very high levels of compliance and quality standards for all clients. So with this vision that we had, go multi-client, move away from all these dedicated sites, consolidate, rationalize, it had certain challenges and constraints, as you can imagine. The one thing was a slow adoption rate. A lot of our clients, a lot of people in this industry were resistant to change. And that's where a big factor here, you could say this, a critical factor in this whole thing was change management. It was one big change management exercise to get people to think differently, move away and understand that you can achieve high stock integrity if you're sharing an environment with other clients. It's not to say you have to have all your product sealed off and fenced off and in its own site. So we had quite a bit of resistance to change. Some of our clients had existing long-term onerous leases and were perhaps overcapitalized in certain dedicated sites. And there were global policies and customized ERPs and warehouse management systems that were a constraint. As I mentioned, with our staff, our internal management structures, we found that even though we brought the different accounts into one site, they still had this mentality, this way of thinking that it's my space, my MHE, my people. We had to change that to more of a sharing is caring approach before we could even start to unlock those cost synergies. So essentially we had to move people's thinking to a mindset of pooling resources, to share them, basically apply them at any point in time to where they can add the most value for our business. So initially the challenge was a box within a box mentality, and with inefficiency and low cost synergy that leads to. So the other challenge was traditional cost models. It's more of a fixed cost solution where you had your cost plus basis, which makes it quite hard to pass on savings to clients when the resources get rounded up and get shared, and they're no longer dedicated to a particular client. So we overcame that slowly by changing our way of contracting to more of a shared environment and shared cost bases. The part of the change management was bringing the clients along on the journey, bringing all the stakeholders along on the journey, clients and staff. So quite a strong paradigm shift to this fully variable model with minimums, where resources are fully shared, allowing us to flex and mix and match staff and resources as required. So to still maintain the SLAs, still meet our requirements, but now with the lowest net resource cost. So part of this was also applying our standardized processes, global best practices that are benchmarked. The rationalization of warehouse management structure and system. So we actually flattened the structure quite a lot where possible, and we reinforced the ownership of this new cost culture of sharing dynamic resources. So flattening the structure, rationalizing, consolidating, these were all buzzwords but critical in our journey. We migrated as many clients as possible to one standardized WMS, which was another real enabler, obviously interfaced to their ERP. We found that in the past, it's very hard to share resources when each particular client, each particular operation has a separate WMS, because you can't multi-skill people across multiple WMSs and then expect to move them around at short notice. That just it opens us up to stock integrity errors. So at the moment we've managed to get, it's probably sitting at more than 80% of our client base onto our warehouse management system, which is a world-class JDA Red Prairie based system that we call CargoRite, and that has really been a massive enabler in achieving the resource sharing and the strong stock integrity that underpins our success. And then of course, if you can't measure something, you can't manage it, you can't unlock efficiencies from that. So performance measurement, ongoing continuous improvement processes is key to all of this as well. So we baselined our performance, and we measure the trends, the performance on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, so we can continuously make sure we're on track and that we achieving our goals and exceeding where possible. So what did this all lead to? You know, these were the challenges, and bringing the people into this multi-client environment where we could now share the resources, break down those psychological and physical barriers. This led to quite a strong cost saving for us from about 2018 onwards, with reducing headcount, redeploying where required, and getting the staff to work across different clients, integrating certain functions. Again, one example of that was where we had a distribution function on site, but that fell under a different division, separate little ring-fenced entity. We integrated that to our warehouse structure from a management and staffing point of view, and straight away there were further benefits there by not having an independent little bespoke team. The MHE, we looked at that as well. We made sure we didn't have diesel units on site anymore. From a green point of view, we're trying to look at reducing emissions where possible, so moved more to electric, better overall. Part of the sharing as well, looking at the hours of that equipment, we moved equipment around more, and by sharing it more and moving it around, we're able to bring down our average hours and reduce our overall requirement of MHE quite significantly. Security, we looked at the hours that people were actually working and productive versus the billable hours, and we reduced that as well. So really we left no stone unturned in looking at waste in our business, whether it be electricity or resources, staffing. Electricity, speaking of that, we put timers on all our lights, which made a significant difference as well. We reused fully depreciated racking where possible, and we sold off any surplus we had. And we really also focused on the retention of our strategic clients that met our ideal client profile, where we could really partner with them, collaborate on savings, and take them on that journey for the benefit of all parties. So that was quite a big focus for us. 2019, we went the next step there, the next phase. We actually retrofitted all our lighting to LED, which was a highly cost-effective exercise, very short payback period. We installed solar, which was significant as well. With electricity becoming such a factor in this country, that made a huge difference. The WMS, we were able to, I mentioned that just now, we were able to migrate more of our clients onto one standardized system to unlock resource flexibility and savings, and all of this underpinned a 100% client retention rate at this point in time. So it's not just about retaining the clients, also about retaining our staff. So we've got a very low staff turnover rate, partly because, as I mentioned, we promote a permanent staffing model rather than a strong brokered element, which is a cost saving, and it gets far more commitment and buy-in from those key resources. So this is all fine and well, but we found that we had to. It's one thing for us to save costs, to achieve cost synergies, but we needed to, part of the collaboration and the working with our clients, that partnership, we had to share some of those savings with clients that were taking strain in the marketplace, perhaps certain industries, the sales were down, and costs were going up, so that led to margin erosion. Now, in this multi-client model, with a strong focus on sharing resources and cost synergies, we've been able to fund lower annual increases for clients where possible. We've reinvested a lot of the savings in supply chain design and inventory optimization projects, which has really been a win-win for us and our clients. Once again, increasing the retention, but driving significant cost savings for clients. We've invested in technology, as I mentioned, that reduced cost and increased operating efficiencies, such as the LED lighting and the solar. And we've also invested more money in funding the upskilling of our team, our staff, and cross-training across the different clients. This has obviously helped to defend margin erosion and client retention. When it comes to our inventory integrity, one of the key things underpinning that, as I mentioned, is our world-class warehouse management system, and that is one of the key aspects of that. Is everything is done through these handheld RF scanners, radio frequency scanners, so wireless scanning of everything, right from the inbound process, receiving of the goods, to the put away into specific locations, and then eventually, when part of the order fulfillment, to the from the picking process. And underpinning the stock integrity is the scanning function. So there's a lot of error proofing in that. So the goods are typically directed to a zone where they need to be put away, and if the operator tries to put them in an incorrect zone, for example, it won't let him do that. So there's that error proofing built into that scanning functionality and that warehouse management system. And he has to, or she has to, follow the particular process. The barcode has to be scanned on the goods and on the location, confirming that it's put into the correct location, and same on the picking. It won't let the operator go to the next step unless those key error-proofing steps have been followed. So that we found, coming from an environment where a lot of the older systems that our clients had were paper-based, they relied more on the just the accuracy of the individual, and they weren't supported as strongly by the system. So that's been a major, that bolsters our stock integrity significantly. And those same checks are in place on the outbound to make sure the right goods are going out. We do have a double check in most of the cases where there's a picking function, which is part of the validation, and then there's a checking function as a second step validation. And then we have, nowadays, everything is covered via a camera system with 24-hour monitoring of that camera system and recording. So if there's any issue, you can go back and check exactly what happened where, and then you can apply the corrective and preventative action for that particular process. Whatever we do, we look at the long term. We're looking at the long game, and how do you look after your stakeholders? How do you look after your brand? And sustainability is more critical than ever for us. Waste management is one of the traditional elements of that, and ongoing focus there, partnering with our waste management partner in the industry to really look at innovative ways to reuse certain things so we can reduce the actual waste that we generate. And it is really about collaborating with your packaging suppliers, with the different people in the industry to see how you can reduce, reuse, and of course minimize what goes to landfill. So recycling is a massive focus of ours, and we measure this quite tightly. we're quite proud of the fact that we've reduced our waste going to landfill down to approximately 10%, and we're pushing, we're keeping, we're maintaining the pressure there to reduce that still further. When it comes to the culture of cost saving that I mentioned, we really reinforced this with our teams. That you know, often, as we all know, the best ideas come from the floor, and we listen to those ideas. And one great example of that was solar. I mean, solar is quite common nowadays, but 6 years ago it was still quite expensive and not as common. And one of the ideas from the floor, in fact, from one of our clients, the staff, it was a material handler. They chatted together in their tea break, and they thought, well, you know, we are a big site. We've got lots of forklifts charging here. We've got lots of lights in the site. We use a lot of energy, obviously. Why don't we put in solar? They had seen solar somewhere where they lived, and they just thought this could be a really good idea. And we had a look at it, and you know, we had thought as a management team that perhaps it was a bit premature, but we took this idea from the floor, and we did a full case study on it, or a feasibility study. And we found it was actually feasible, and it could save us a lot. And after implementing this idea from the floor, it exceeded our expectations. We've ended up, you know, it's helped with the load shedding, and it's really been a major contributor with the annual increase in electricity skyrocketing now to the 15% per annum. Our payback period is even less than we initially anticipated. So really we gave the people on the floor credit for that, and full recognition for such a fantastic idea that has saved us as a business significant money, which, as we mentioned, all those savings, we haven't just used it to improve our bottom line, but we're taking that long-term view, that broader view, to say how do we reinvest this saving to make our business more sustainable, our partnership stronger, our client retention longer. And it's really been a success story around that.
As DSV Solutions, our biggest asset is our staff. Staff productivity, staff morale is key. Getting the buy-in from the guys on the floor is what really makes a difference. Being a senior branch manager, having the top-down approach, walking the floor, getting to know the people, getting the buy-in from the guys on the ground to understand, why does management make such decisions? What is the benefit to the business and to the client? What does the client expect of us? So having that direct buy-in and commitment from the guys on the floor is what actually drives our business to being as successful as we are today. So that's imminent. It's always been my passion, and especially working with people here in Gauteng from different walks of life, the diversity. So it's actually quite intriguing as to how different people react to change. Change management is a very big part of our business, and it's being driven from the top down, and it's ongoing. There's no end to it. People have different perspectives. Often people don't know why they have to do 1, 2, 3, you know. For them to really understand it, own it, and then run with it. So that's what obviously drives success to us. We've seen it where we had little pockets or different operations initially when we moved here, and when we start to change their mindset is where we start to really unlock synergy within our operations, not just on staffing, but also on equipment and so forth, where we have a lot of cross-pollination, even between managers. So that's really been our key driver to being successful. With our clients, our biggest driver is us having the one-on-one relationship with our clients. Initially, you know, we never had as much engagement, but it's imperative that we have this with our clients to really understand their business. What is their business model? Understand how can we add value to their business? What can we do as DSV, as their chosen service partner? What can we do better? How can we strive towards excellence for them? And in that, my philosophy was transparency with your client. Having that one-on-one relationship where we show them that we take ownership for what we do. You know, we pride ourselves as DSV to go the extra mile. And understanding that requirement, filtering the client's requirements down to our people, as well as our people's concerns up to the client as well, because any business has got to be, it's a two-way street, right? It's a partnership. It's not a one-way thing where we're a service provider, you're a client, you dictate to us. Yes, within reason, but we obviously need to have an open dialogue between us and client, or DSV and client, where we can unpack stuff in the required detail and look what are the amicable way forward for various scenarios that could incur. I mean, there's various challenges that we've had initially, but through this constructive engagement, we've been very successful to retain our clients here at DSV.
So I think, just in closing, I think developing and sharing dynamic resource in these multi-client environments is essential in modern day supply chains. Sharing and reinvesting resultant cost savings, cost synergy benefits is vital for sustaining these symbiotic supply chain partnerships. And it's all good buzzwords, but the reality is it's not just about the rands and cents. The old-fashioned story about your strong relationships with your clients, your key stakeholders, and your staff, the people that make it happen, are more critical than ever. You need those strong relationships to weather the storms that we're facing nowadays in the industry. So that's been part of the success of this, the change management exercise, taking all our key stakeholders along on this journey and jointly unlocking that value for our supply chain, for our multi-client environment. Effective communication, collaboration, and knowledge sharing, more important than ever, to achieve that trust and the strong, mature relationships that, as I mentioned, go beyond price. The change management process is only really effective if it's based on a trust foundation and you have the buy-in from the key stakeholders. And of course, we have to keep, you can't stand still on this. You've got to keep moving forward. So the ongoing measurement of costs, the ongoing looking at looking jointly at further cost savings, ways to do things smarter, more environmentally friendly, that's a never-ending process for us. And we're proud of our focus on that and why sustainability in our business is such a key aspect. And we believe we've achieved a level, I'd say a culture of cost consciousness, of cost synergy, where people own their part of the process and they really try and excel in improving wherever possible. So yeah, sustainability and compliance, definitely strong factors underpinning our long-term success in this area.
So they understood it. Not everyone really understood it to the magnitude or to the extent that we understood what this award meant to us. To the guys on the floor, yes, it's brilliant. For them, it's more around all the details around the EnviroServe Award that actually had a bigger impact on them to fully understand, because we may not know it at times, but our blue-collar staff, they're actually quite bright guys, you know. Their level of thinking and understanding, DSV's got this fantastic award as a LAA Gold Award. They know they're working for one of the best companies globally, right? But for the EnviroServe Award, to me, that had a bigger impact on my employees, because to them it shows that as a business, yes, we're dotting the I's and crossing the T's, we're ticking the boxes, retaining clients, all of that. But EnviroServe, it's like a couple of years back, save electricity, save water, what can we do? How can we recycle, reuse? What are we doing for the environment? For our generations to come, what are we doing better? Yes, fantastic logistic company. I mean, that's a Gold Award, but the EnviroServe to me had a bigger impact to my guys on the floor. That's the feedback I received.